This is Brother Shareef with the Hour of Power and the Black Love Movement. Go to Hour of Power Shareef Hamid on YouTube. Subscribe and share the channel so we can continue to lift the mind, body, and soul of our people. We'll give it a couple of seconds to see if some good people log on. And either way, we're going to deliver a powerful truth tonight, as always, to lift the mind, body, and soul of our people. Viewer discretion is advised. Viewer discretion is advised. Got a lot going on in this city. I'm not in a good place right now. So we will address these issues, but I'm going to go on and get started before my mind goes somewhere else. In the name of God, the gracious, the merciful, we give him praise and thanks for his mercy and his goodness to the human family. If all the trees upon the earth were pens to write with, and if all the oceans were ink, and then another 7 oceans to add to its supply, the writing would still not be enough to explain the glory of God. For he's the exalted, all-powerful, all-wise. We confide in no other in our time of need, and we praise no other in our good fortune. He is one. And even if I live to be 1,000, it would still not be enough to thank God for his many blessings and gifts. We thank God for the Metu Netter, oracles, scriptures, and writings that came thousands of years before any organized religion on the continent of Africa. That's the Metu Netter. We thank him for Moses in the Torah, Jesus in the Gospel, and Muhammad with the Quran. I greet everyone in words of peace. To my Christian family, praise the Lord. To my Muslim family, assalamu alaikum. To my Hebrew Israelite family, shalom. To my Black conscious family, hotep. And to my people in the streets, what's good to you? It all means peace. We got to bring this thing together. So again, this is Brother Shareef with the Hour of Power and the Black Love Movement. Go to Hour of Power, Shareef Hamid on YouTube. Subscribe and share. You know the motto, so we can continue to lift the mind, body, and soul of our people. If you didn't catch the interview last night with the Hour of Power with Miss Mary Harris, please go back and view that. It was one of the most powerful, impactful interviews that I believe the Hour of Power has ever done. But each one has its own identity to it. I think that's the one unique thing about our channel. It isn't just me by myself. I have a lot of help, particularly with my good sister Alicia. She makes the show go behind the scenes, helps get people on the show. So salute to her for her help and assistance with the show. It isn't just me, by far. Although you may see me doing, the interviews and popping up on the screen and in these podcasts during the week, I have plenty help and support. And I wouldn't be able to do it without the help and the support that I have from people in the community, my wife, my boys was there. That's what it is. The replay for that show, if you have local access TV here in York, is Saturdays at 10 a.m. and then Sundays at 7 p.m. So if you have local access TV here in York on Channel 16 on Saturdays at 10 a.m., the show will replay. And then on Sundays at 7 p.m., the show will replay. So that's that. We have some other powerful messages earlier in the week. What is a genogram, which is a visual pictorial of a family tree that goes back and shows patterns of behavior and hereditary patterns that could be destructive, that you may want to look at, that can go back several generations, and you have an experienced person in your family to go back as many generations, and you'll start seeing a repetitive pattern of behavior that you may want to break, which could be drug abuse, domestic abuse, all that. So check out that message. And I did something the other night on sexual abuse. So the Hour of Power is putting out some, I believe, some unique messages that can lift the mind, body, and soul of our people. Coming up in October will be Women's Month. As we know, nationally, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we will be bringing, shining light on that. We'll be having some powerful sisters on the show and I'll be posting one next week. I'm gonna let that be a surprise who will be on next week. So look out for those messages. With October being all this scary stuff, the Hour of Power is going to go into the psychology of the making of the Michael Myers movie. Like, what? I thought he just slashing throats. Yeah, but it's some psychology behind that, and I'm going to relate it to our people. So look out for that. In addition to October being Women's Month, we will do a special show going into the psychology of the making of the Michael Myers movie, and I'm going to relate it right to what's going on in our community with our boys, our girls, and different challenges that we've had. I've talked about it before, but you can't talk about it enough. Prayers and peace to the people who live on West Princess Street here in York. Got word late last night there was 2 murders there, shootings. I don't know what caused it. Young people. I believe a teenager, and I believe both of them. One of them was a teenager, another one was maybe 28. I still don't have all the details. But again, my good sister, I don't think she would mind me saying it's Alicia, who helps me out with the show. She was at York High today helping the youth up there get through their grief of losing one of their fellow peers. I believe the young man was only in 9th grade. So it is very, very sad. This can't continue. We've talked about this before. You know, I tried to spearhead us hitting the streets back in the summer. You know, it started out all right, but, you know, as a lot of things, you know, it just died down. I did what I could to keep it going. And we actually walked up and down Princess Street, you know, a couple of times. Even the Latino family joined me. So talking about that, next Saturday, October the 6th, a lot of things is going on here in the city that my brothers and sisters wanted me to mention. October the 6th at 11 a.m. at the Rev Stadium there, which is heading out Parkway, they're going to have a Pedals for Peace bike ride. My good brother Brant Kinsley, he was actually on the Hour of Power a couple weeks ago. He's spearheading that. So next Saturday, October the 6th at 11 a.m. at Rev Stadium, where they play baseball, they'll have the bike ride and the Pedal for Peace, and they'll circle throughout the city. And I think they will end up on West Princess Street at the site where this horrific shooting and murder happened last night. At the same time, at 11 a.m., at the CVS on Richland Avenue in Princess, which is at the bottom of the hill, they will have the street soldiers led by my good brother Fred Walker. They will have a street walk, and they're going to walk from CVS up to Princess Street at the scene of where everything happened. So that's going on. The same day, they'll have the Sister Circle at 306 East King Street at Career and Closet. That's a group for women to come and bond with each other, talk about any issues that will be led by my wife Takia and Sister Tanya Larry with the movement. So that's October the 6th also at 2 p.m., 306 East King Street at Closet and Career at 2 p.m. So it's plenty going on. And now the first events, that's not the most pleasant thing. It was just supposed to be a pedal for peace. But with the recent events, with the shootings, that's what's going on. All I can say about the shootings is these events are great. You know, salute to Brother Brant. He already had it planned. Salute to my good brother, Fred Walker. Man, he's such a wonderful, wonderful brother. I mean, every time I'm around him, man, my heart just, I'm just somewhere else when I'm in his presence. Just a warm, welcoming, encouraging young man. That's Fred Walker with Shiloh Church. These events are great, but we have to get out of, and I'm not saying anyone particular, I'm saying us as a family, we have to get out of being reactionary. We have to sustain and establish something that's going to reach out to these youth in these streets on a regular basis every day. Satan never rests. Satan never rests. He's always on the go. He's like a shark in the water. And anyone that knows anything about sharks never stop moving. Because if they stop moving, they would drown. They're sharks. Now, you never see a picture of a shark and it's just sitting there still. If you see that, please give me a call, and I want to know where that shark is at. No such thing. So Satan is the same way, but in a spiritual and a physical sphere, because Satan works through human beings. Yeah. So he's always moving. So what would make us think if he's always moving? Go back to my channel and look up Fighting Off the Whispers of Satan. And we talked about the gazoo that's on our shoulder whispering evil things in our ears. Whoever did that crime last night, someone was whispering to them. So go back on my channel and check that out, and you tell me. So Satan is always moving, always on the go, always working. So we got to do the same thing. We need an institutions in our community that is going to continuously lift the mind, body, and soul of our people. We can't be reactionary. We can't wait till one of our young people die, then put on, do something, and then the people don't keep the spirit going, so to speak, and then it's almost like we're waiting for the next death. And the thing is, none of us know the time or the hour. It could be me. I'm not invincible. I hope not. I don't want to lose none of our people. But we need institutions in our community that operate every day for the best interest of our people, so we can prevent these horrific acts of violence against each other as much as we can, or we're going to just keep doing the same thing. One of our youth died, kill each other. So that's really 2 down right there. Someone who loses their life, and then whoever did it, eventually they're going to get caught. So, and then we get all emotional and do whatever, and then we back at it again. Man, salute Brother Fred and everyone else, putting on the street walk. I hope you heard what I said. I hope I ain't offend anyone, but that's my take on it. Before I get into this topic about Bill Cosby tonight, again, the Hour of Power is dedicating October to women's. It's going to be Women's Month, and on my show that comes on every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on Channel 16 Local Access TV and streaming live on Facebook, we're going to have some powerful sisters on our show. And I'm going to make it a surprise tomorrow who the first 2 wonderful queens are. I'll be posting that. Look for that around 10 a.m. tomorrow. I will reveal who the first guests are on the show next Wednesday, the October the 3rd. We're going to kick off Women's Month. And nationally, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But before I get into this Bill Cosby fiasco, let us pray. Pray in your own way. And this is a prayer that I've been saying, and it's dedicated to those who are victims of domestic violence, victims of sexual assault, sexual abuse, and any violence. So pray in your own way. It's only about a minute, but I believe it's powerful. Pray in your own way until who you refer to is the Most High. Let us pray. All praises belongs to you, God. You are the healer of memory, experience, body, intellect, and spirit. Only healing that comes from you leaves behind no ill. We ask special mercy and compassion upon those who have been victimized, disgraced, and have survived. Deliver them, O God, from the grips of human and institutional oppression, as well as the eternal triggers that try to make them feel guilty or see themselves as less than you created them to be. Be to them the soothing balm that eases their pain. Grant them justice and peace. Remind them of their high value and worth to you. Surely you are the mighty, the wise, the renderer of justice. Hear us as we call unto you and you alone. Admonish the evildoers and bring them to justice. That's the prayer of healing, because we need healing in our community from sexual assault, sexual abuse, physical abuse, domestic violence. Our community is suffering. And the Hour of Power is going to go hard and address this in the month of October, starting, October the 1st, I'm going to be getting it in. But October the 3rd, we'll have 2 powerful queens on the show, and I will reveal that around 10 a.m. tomorrow. Okay? Now, this Bill Cosby fiasco. Now, I hope no one didn't take the title wrong when I said America's hypocrisy with the arrest of Bill Cosby. I'm making it very, very clear about this. I don't know what he did or didn't do. I don't. I don't know what he did or didn't do. But I will say one thing. It's awful strange that his name keeps getting caught up with all these different women about them being drugged and then being taken advantage of. My first priority when it comes to women is Black and Latino women. But I do not endorse the abuse, the misuse of any woman on this planet. None. It's just I put priority with our own because, like Malcolm said, the Black woman is the most neglected, mistreated, and abused woman on this planet. The statistics in our eye test tell us that. So I don't want no one saying, oh, well, he don't care about anyone else. He just talks about Black women. Yeah, they need it. But I don't endorse the misuse or abuse of any woman. I normally don't like telling my business, but right now, and I don't like blowing my blessings, right now, I'm doing heavy therapy and counseling with a white woman, all right, that confides in me about her children and just the pain that she's going through. I felt duty bound to help her. I don't charge her nothing. But then when she told me her children are biracial, how could I leave that out? How could I leave her hanging? Because already we got some queens and some kings that may not have a real Black man in their life, but that is still their mother. So I care about the safety and well-being of all women. I just put particular interests and effort with Black and Latino women. What is wrong with that? So I don't know what this man has done or hasn't done. It doesn't look good because his name keeps coming up with this sexual abuse and these pills and putting people to sleep and taking advantage of them. We're not, at least the Hour of Power and the Black Love Movement, we're not disputing that. We're not disputing that. That's not the question with me. It's just what it says in the title. It says America's hypocrisy with the arrest of Bill Clinton. It is awful strange how America picks and chooses when they want to be the champion of human rights, or the champion of domestic violence, or the champion of sexual abuse. They pick and choose when they want to champion justice, bring about justice, implement justice. That is my whole and only problem with all this. If the man was drugging women, which it don't look good, then whatever they gave him, that's what they gave him. The Hour of Power and the Black Love Movement, we're not disputing that. What I'm disputing and what I have a problem with is the disparity of justice and the hypocrisy. Y'all remember Ray Rice a couple years ago? How they ran this man out of NFL? He was the former running back for the Baltimore Ravens. What he did was absolutely despicable. They had the tape of him abusing his wife in the elevator, and he dragged her out. But you ain't supposed to come between married people. If she forgave him, then we should forgive him. And now all of a sudden the NFL is champions of domestic violence. Now all of a sudden the NFL are champions of sexual abuse and rape. That is my problem. That is hypocrisy to the 10th power, especially when you go on their history and the disparity in justice. We don't need no lecture on this. If Bill Cosby did this, he deserved what he got. I'm talking about the disparity in justice and the hypocrisy of them all of a sudden being champions of all these different causes, especially when it comes to women. The disparity of justice. Let's talk about that first. Please give me a black fist sign, a heart emoji or something if y'all are feeling this and learning something from it. I'm just getting started. Viewer discretion is advised. Bill O'Reilly, the former anchorman or news person for Fox News. What a demon. He was accused of pressuring producers and guests for sex for years. He reached legal settlements with 6 women totaling $45 million. That's Bill O'Reilly. What a devil. What a devil. Let me say it again. Pressuring producers and guests for sex for years. Reached legal settlements of 6 women totaling $45 million. Is he getting 3 to 10? How about Harvey Weinstein? Y'all been hearing about him, the Hollywood producer, accused of raping 3 women and sexual misconduct of dozens of others. Harvey Weinstein, the Hollywood producer. Is he getting 3 to 10 years? How about Ben Affleck, the well-known actor in Hollywood? Several women, including Halle Berry and I forget these other names. I forgot to write them down, but she was the main one who has brought the charges back up, has accused him of sexual harassment. Halle Berry said he used to regularly fondle her breasts on the set. This Ben Affleck, is he getting 3 to 10 years? Come on, stay with me now. Stay with me. How about Kevin Spacey? This actor, well-known actor. At least 24 men have accused him of sexual assault and misconduct. 24 men. Kevin Spacey, the actor, is he getting 3 to 10 years in prison? Come on now. How about Matt Weiner, the creator of Mad Men? He harassed the writer, Kate Gordon, and told her because he put her on the set, she owed it to him for her to walk back and forth naked in front of him. Is he looking at 3 to 10 years? How about Charlie Rose, the PBS and CBS host? Unwanted sexual advances, groping and grabbing women in their crotch, walking in front of them naked on the set. This is Charlie Rose, the anchor for PBS and CBS News. Unwanted sexual advances, groping and grabbing women in their cookies, walking in front of them naked. Is he looking at 3 to 10 years in prison? How about Matt Lauer, the former altar boy, almost so to speak, for was it Good Morning America, I believe, with Katie Couric? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't watch these shows. Multiple women said he sexually harassed them in the workplace, exposing himself, making sexual nasty comments, and bringing them sex toys. This Matt Lauer, everyone thought he was just an angel. With the Good Morning America show with Katie Couric. Multiple women said he sexually harassed them in the workplace, exposing himself, making nasty sexual comments, and bringing them sex toys. The Today Show. Thank you, Sister Tanya. How about number 45? Y'all know who that is. Agent Orange. 13 women accused him of assault. That we know of. And the one porn star, Chase or something, Storm Daniels or something. Yeah. Got all kind of stuff on him. Is he looking at 3 to 10 years? That's the disparity and that's just some of the white men who have been accused of sexual assault, misconduct, mostly in the workplace, thinking they're above the law, and they're not looking at 3 to 10 years. But they go all the way back 14 years, if not further, with Bill Cosby. Shaky evidence, even though it's awful strange how his name keeps popping up with this, but the evidence was shaky, to say the least. And he's getting 3 to 10, and I've named you at least 7 or 8. Multiple sexual assault and even rape cases. The one, what's his name? Harvey Weinstein, accused of raping 3 women. And then this Kevin Spacey with his weird self, at least sexually assaulting 24 men. Very strange. Very strange. Now, the hypocrisy in it is there now it's about to, viewer discretion is advised. It's about to get raw. Now, y'all have seen this book before. Well, what about this? Is this not sexual assault and abuse? That is the lynching of Laura Nelson on a bridge in Oklahoma in 1911. She was accused of stealing something, her and her husband. They killed him and then brought her and her son and hung him on the bridge. But before they hung her, all the men on that bridge raped her. It is called the lynching of Laura Nelson on a bridge in Oklahoma in 1911. Accused her of a theft she didn't do. Brought her to the bridge, and at least 90 men up there raped her and then hung her and her 15-year-old son on a bridge. Is that not sexual assault? Also, now you the champion of sexual assault and abuse? Oh, that's very strange. Is this not sexual assault? Look at that. This happened on a normal basis. Look at that brother there. Look at that. Is that not sexual assault and abuse? And I can go on and on and on. What happened to us during those times? What about the transatlantic slave trade? Women, men, and children and the elderly raped in front of each other, gang raped. Men sodomized by other men in front of their wife. So now you the champion of sexual assault and abuse with this history? Really? When we were brought here to the shores of North America, the sexual assault and rape and abuse continued if it didn't get worse. Matter of fact, they made a business out of it. Get the movie Goodbye, Uncle Tom, a movie about what happened on the slave plantations that came out before Roots came out. It was so raw and so graphic that they stopped it from hitting the movie theaters. I've done several speeches on it when I was in North Carolina. I even got put out of being the Black History instructor for the rites of passage because of it. Oh, Miss Morgan said, what about the Catholic priests? Just here in Pennsylvania, it's a 1,000-page report of the sexual abuse going back to the 1940s of the diocese here in Pennsylvania, Allentown, Philadelphia, or Harrisburg, of these priests here. That's just here in Pennsylvania, a 1,000-page report. One little girl, who was a white girl, got sexually assaulted while she was sick in a hospital by a priest. Sexually assaulted while she was sick in a hospital by a police. And then another boy was sexually assaulted as he went to the priest for a confession. The priest made the boy give him oral sex. The priest ejaculated in his mouth and then made him wash out his mouth with holy water. Yeah, the boy was only like 8 or 9 years old. And they paid their way out of sexual abuse and assault. Where is their 3 to 10? Come on, all we asking for is to be equal and to be fair. Y'all see the sign that supposedly shows the equality of America, the woman holding the balance, and that's supposed to mean a balance and justice. She has the two, and it's supposed to mean a balance of justice. All we're asking for is a balance of justice. If Bill Cosby gets 3 to 10 for sexual assault and he's guilty, well, Harvey Weinstein, Ben Affleck, Matt Lauer, Charlie Rose, 45, and all the rest of them devils should be in jail right along with him. All we asking for, ain't no one saying Bill Cosby. This ain't no a thing of, oh, well, he's only asking for him to be found not guilty because he's black. No, justice don't got no color on it. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If the brother wrong, he wrong. But how is it that all these men have done these wicked things and they can either pay their way out of it, like Bill O'Reilly did? 6 women just paid him off $45 million. But there's no deal for Bill Cosby? And the evidence is a little shaky? That's why it took so long. But they always get their way if you don't get out of their way. Ask O.J. Simpson. Just got out of jail for taking back his own memorabilia. Yeah, let's move along with this hypocrisy. I did talks on this before. Please look this up and write this down because you may not hear it anywhere else. This is the Hour of Power in the Black Love Movement, dropping atomic bombs like no one else is doing unapologetically. Ruby McCullum, a sister born in 1932 in Florida, and she moved to New York and met her husband, Sam McCullum. Actually, her name was, I believe, Ruby Jones. Don't quote me on her last name. But she moved to New York in the 1930s and met her husband, Sam McCullum. They amassed a huge amount of wealth because Sam McCullum's brother, Buck McCullum, was into lottery. Not lottery tickets, but gambling. So from New York, they moved to a part of Florida called Live Oak, Florida. I'm moving kind of fast, but catch this. This is absolutely horrific, and it's tied in to their hypocrisy. So Ruby McCullum moves to Live Oak, Florida with her husband, Sam McCullum, and their brother, Buck McCullum. They had juke joints, and they made most of their money from gambling. Hey, they had to do what they had to do. This was back in the 1950s. Well, back in that time, You used to have doctors make what you call house calls, like you used to see on Sanford and Son. Remember that white doctor used to come to Fred Sanford and, keep him afloat with his health? So it was a doctor by the name of Leroy C. Adams who used to supposedly be concerned about the poor and black people in Live Oak, Florida. So he would make house calls. But the thing was, Ruby and Sam McCullum was far from poor. After they amassed so much wealth from gambling and then they opened different businesses, they even opened a funeral parlor, but they still took on his service of making house calls. Well, Leroy C. Adams, who was a doctor and a well-known and powerful senator, he had some evil things and some wild, wild thoughts in his mind when he would make house calls to Ruby and Sam McCullum's house. He actually started doing business with Sam McCullum, but when Sam McCullum was out hustling, taking care of his family, and again, Ruby and Sam McCullum, they were one of the richest families in Live Oak, Florida, from their different business ventures, legal or whatever. I don't care, because they were doing what they could do back in the 1950s. When Sam McCullum wasn't there, this devil, Leroy C. Adams, would come to Ruby McCullum's house and force sex upon her. Forced her into a sexual relationship for years until he got her pregnant, meaning this Leroy C. Adams, and she birthed a child by this Leroy C. Adams by force, America, with your supposed concern of sexual assault, and they had a daughter named Loretta. Ruby McCullum got sick and tired of being forced into sex, and even there's some reports that he would force sex upon her when Sam McCullum was in the house. This Leroy C. Adams would force sex upon her, and someone would say, well, what kind of man was he? This was the 1950s in the Deep South. If you even blinked wrong, you could be lynched. So it's easy to say what you would do and wouldn't do, or allow and wouldn't allow. You be in that situation. I couldn't do anything like that, but how do you know what you're going to do unless you're in that situation? Finally, on the night of, I forget the month, but in 1952, Ruby McCullum she had two other children to her husband, Sam McCullum. She went to Dr. Leroy C. Adams' office to confront him, to say enough is enough. And she said, well, in her testimony, she went and said, no more, I will not, I've had a child by you. And he used to beat her. Anytime she would try to resist his advances or try to break off the relationship, which he was forcing her to do, this wasn't voluntary. She was an honorable woman. He would beat her. But on this night in 1952, Ruby McCullum approached him and said, enough is enough. They got into an argument, a fight ensued, and Ruby McCullum shot Dr. Leroy C. Adams 4 times and killed him, trying to fight off sexual assault and abuse. Do you know when it went to trial, Ruby McCullum did get a white attorney and he was trying to help her. Do you know they objected within an hour, like 38 times, every time they tried to bring up how this man was sexually assaulting her? It was an objection 38 times, and all 38 times the judge sustained the objection, meaning he agrees with it. They weren't even allowed to bring up the sexual abuse. All they wanted to talk about was her shooting him. Long story short, she ended up dying in, I believe, in a nursing home in 1992. And the day after she shot Leroy C. Adams, this man who was sexually assaulting her, her husband, Sam McCullum, ended up dead. Isn't that a coincidence? Go back and look up the mysterious deaths of Sam Cooke, Bob Marley, and Jimi Hendrix. These people will bump you off. He ended up dead, and all the wealth that they had amassed, gone. The state took it, gone. And this happened in Live Oak, Florida in 1952. Ruby McCullum. Moving along. Anyone that need that name? RUBY McCullum. Ruby McCullum. An actual heart-wrenching story. How about Lena Baker? Actually, I should have talked about Lena Baker first because she came before Ruby McCullum. This woman, a black woman, she was born in Georgia in 1900 to sharecroppers. Her parents were sharecroppers, and for her, and she had 3 children. I'm moving along. For her to take care of herself, she was a maid. She used to go from house to house, cleaning white people's house and being a maid. This is Lena Baker. And this happened in 1945 in the good old state of Georgia. Lena Baker, a black woman, a maid, a mother, right? She runs into this white man by the name of Ernest Knight, who is a rich white man who needed some personal care because he severely broke his leg. He hires Lena Baker to take care of him. Guess what he does? Starts sexually assaulting her and forcing her into a sexual relationship. Every time she tried to escape, he would either hire his sons who lived with him or people from the community to bring her back and would imprison her for days and weeks, meaning Lena Baker. And people in the community would send death threats to him and Lena Baker because they disapproved of their interracial relationship. So even though Ernest Knight, this white man, was forcing her into a relationship, he was catching heat because the people in the community didn't approve and like what he was doing. If she tried to run, he would recapture her. Her sons would beat and sexually assault her. Come on, America. Why haven't you talked about this woman, Lena Baker? On one night, once again, like Ruby McCullum, she said enough is enough. She got into an argument with Mr. Knight. He tried to hit her in the head with an iron bar. They got into a scuffle. He tried to pull out a pistol, but remember, he was half handicapped. She took the pistol from him and shot him dead on the spot. Listen to this. This happened on March, got my notes here. March 5th, 1945 is when that confrontation ensued with Lena Baker and her employer, Ernest Knight. He tried to kill her. And she got the gun from him, shot him dead, March 5th, 1945. Listen to this. To this day, Lena Baker is the only woman, white or black, to be executed in the state of Georgia. Within a couple hours, they found her guilty. She pleaded self-defense, of course, but they found her guilty of capital murder. And still to this day, Lena Baker is the only woman to be executed by electricity in the state of Georgia, white or black, female, the only woman. Look her up. Lena, Lena Baker, born in 1900, executed in the state of Georgia in 1945 for defending herself from a sexual abuser. Look at this long history going back to slavery time of how these people have sexually assaulted us, domestic violence, rape, gang rape. And now all of a sudden you're a champion of sexual assault and abuse, bringing it up to current day. I already gave you the cases. How about the My Lai massacre? What is that, Brother Shareef? More history that they haven't told you about, which the Hour of Power and the Black Love movement. See, Black Love is about telling you things that's going to empower you. It don't always sound pretty. The My Lai massacre, MYLAI massacre, is an offshoot from the Vietnam War. Look it up. My lie, because they do lie, but that's not how it's spelled. LAI massacre. It's a massacre. They admit this. All you got to do is Google it. By U.S. troops who massacred 347 to 504 unarmed South Vietnamese civilians on March 16th of 1968. I'm going to say it again. The My Lai massacre, MYLAI massacre. The massacre of U.S. troops against South Vietnamese civilians on March 16th, 1968. The victims were men, women, children, infants, and listen to this. The women were gang raped by U.S. troops. They admit this. You can look it right up on Google. They were gang raped in 1968 and mutilated. If you Google it, you will see 300 to 500 bodies laying in a ditch. And the U.S. troops, not 1,500 years ago, not 400 or 500 years ago, for some Negroes to say, oh, there you go with that black stuff, bringing up slavery. This was in 1968. 1968, the My Lai massacre. Women, children, men, and infants massacred by the U.S. troops, and the women were systematically gang raped. And you are champion of sexual assault and abuse? Where is this history? Raise your hand, or if you feel comfortable enough, admit to me, Brother Shareef, I've never heard of that before. We've all taken history class. We've all taken history class. Where is this damn history of them? And you can't say Brother Shareef just talking about black. These are Vietnamese people, human beings. Gang rape the women because it is a war tactic. It is a war tactic throughout history to bring a people to their knees, no matter how strong they are. Rape the women, pillage the land, and rape the women. And to add insult to injury, rape the women in front of their men. I'ma say it one more goddamn time. They murdered 347 to 504 Vietnamese men, women, children, and infants. And they gang raped the women. And if you Google it and hit image, you will see 300 to 500 bodies laying in a ditch in 1968. Furthermore, with this case, after they were gang raped and mutilated, 26 soldiers were charged, but only, I'm giving you names now, Lieutenant William Cawley, a platoon leader, was convicted. I'm going to say it again. 26 soldiers were charged, but only Lieutenant William Cawley, a platoon leader, was convicted. He was given a life sentence for the murder, then the gang rape of men, women, children, and infants. He was given a life sentence, but only served 3.5 years on house arrest. 3.5 years on damn house arrest for the murder of 347 to 504 human beings. In Vietnam, 26 were charged, but only Lieutenant William Cawley was charged. He was given a life sentence, but only given 3.5 years under house arrest. And guess who oversaw him? Colin Powell. You can look it up. Colin Powell. Yes, he was involved too. And you talking about sexual assault? You a champion of sexual assault and sexual abuse? Look at your movies. And you tell me how America values the woman, more or less a black or a Latino woman. They're about to show these crazy ass movies coming up in another week. October is what they call Fear Fest. We've all watched these movies. Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy, almost in all those movies. And again, the Hour of Power will break down the psychology and the making of Michael Myers in the month of October. I've done it before, but you can't hear it enough from my new audience. I'm going to break down the psychology of the making of Michael Myers. And when you see these crazy ass movies, they're always abusing a woman, chasing her up and down the street, woman screaming and hollering, choking them, abusing them, sometimes sexually assaulting them, mutilating them, and you care about women. Now all of a sudden you a champion of sexual assault and abuse. When did that start? When Bill Cosby's fiasco started? Huh? Because we can go all the way back. I already took you all the way back. And I can go back to Greek and Greco culture. Look this word up and I'll be done. I told you this was going to be raw. But if anyone has heard me say anything that is not accurate historically, please check me, because I'm responsible for the information that I disseminate. Look up this word, pederastry. Pederastry. Pedastry. Pederastry is a Greek word for a homosexual relationship between an adult male and a pubescent or adolescent boy. In a homosexual relationship between an adult male and a pubescent adolescent boy. It's called pederastry. Pedastry. Pederastry. It's a Greek word. Back in Greek time, I talked about this the other night. This was their practice. They said the only need that they had for a woman was for reproduction. Their first choice and their attraction and their love was with other men, but in particularly boys. So even back then in Greek time, they didn't respect the woman. And the folklore is because of the mistreatment and the neglect of the Greek woman, they formed their own island called Lesbos. It's called Lesbos Island, which they derived the word lesbian. Look it up. It's a resort island that women still go to today. And it's off of Greece somewhere. It's called Lesbos Island, where they get the word lesbian. But they said, thank you for posting that, Sister Akila, one of our queens down there in Maryland, and she put on the Pan-African market. I know this is raw, I know this is rough, but like the caption said, the hypocrisy of the arrest of Bill Cosby. It's hypocrisy. I didn't say he was innocent. I don't know. It doesn't damn look good, Bill, with your pudding pops and the Cosby Show and all that. It don't look good. It doesn't look good. But we're talking about justice, just like the sign has of America, of the woman holding the balancing act there, meaning a balance in justice. How is this a balance of justice? How? How is this a balance of justice, Ben Affleck? Several women, including Holly Berry, said you sexually assaulted her. And Holly Berry recently came out and said he was always fondling my breasts. How is it justice, Kevin Spacey, when you're accused of sexually assaulting 24 men? How is it justice, Matt Weiner, creator of Mad Men, harassed Kate Gordon and said, you owe me to walk in front of me naked for me putting you on the set? How is it justice, Bill O'Reilly, the anchor for Fox News, and he just recently settled with 6 women for sexual assault and abuse for $45 million? How is it justice, Matt Lauer, who used to sexually harass women on the set during work, exposing himself, making sexual comments and bringing them sex toys? How is it justice, Charlie Rose, the anchor of PBS and CBS News, unwanted sexual advances, groping and grabbing women in their cookies, walking around in front of them naked? How is that justice? That's all I'm talking about. If it's a balance of justice, they all should be locked up together and be in there with all they freaky asses talking about all the freaky shit they used to do to women. But it only seems to be Bill. And he was about to buy CBS, or was it NBC? I believe it was NBC. Every time we're about to make a move economically to set ourselves free, then here they come with their bullshit. Here they come. Hence is why go check out the mysterious deaths of Sam Cooke, Jimi Hendrix, and Bob Marley. When Sam Cooke was producing his own music, it's all connected. I thought you were talking about sexual abuse. Yeah, I am. When Sam Cooke was he had his own record label. And they said, we're no way we're going to let this Negro set this precedent of them producing their own money, producing their own record label, because it's millions and billions of dollars it is. Soon as he did that, they set him up for the kill. Had him murdered and assassinated at the Hacienda Hotel, December 11th, 1964. Said this black woman shot him after he supposedly tried to rape this Lisa Boyer. That's a bunch of lies. The woman shot him 3 times with a .22 caliber pistol, but our queen, Etta James, at last, remember her? She said when she went to go see Sam Cooke the night before his funeral, his nose was dangling from his face. He had all kind of bruises on him and his hands was crushed. How in the hell does a .22 caliber pistol do that? Jimi Hendrix, when he was about to set himself free with this unscrupulous manager named Mike Jeffries. Matter of fact, he fired him. Then they set him up for the kill and drugged him at a party September 17th of 1971. Drugged him. And even coroners, 2-3 different coroners said he had unusual compounds in his body, and they tried to say he overdosed on drugs. He made over $100 million with memorabilia and records. Took his dad, Al Hendricks, 25 years to get his own son's digital master copies and memorabilia. It was worth over $100 million, and he only got $2 million. What about Bob Marley? Put cancer in his boot because he was Black Power. He was into the Black Power movement. So was Sam Cooke. So was Jimi Hendrix. And Bob Marley funded and supported the Black Panthers in the Black Power movement. and was speaking out against European and U.S. invasion in Jamaica. So they set him up for the kill, put cancer in his boot, and at 36 years old, he died from carcinogenous and radioactive cancer from him putting his foot in a boot that a U.S. hired CIA agent by the name of Carl Cosby set him up, because that was Jamaican custom to give someone boots as a gift. And he put his foot in a boot, meaning Bob Marley, something stuck him. He didn't think nothing of it. He played soccer. 5 months later, he played soccer. He broke his leg. His bone wouldn't heal. And then they connected it to that radioactive material that was on that wire that gave him cancer. And he died at 36. They knew the influence he had. Get up, stand up for your rights. The rat race. A revolution is coming, looting, burning and looting the night. That brother was on it. He wasn't talking about no Kiki, do you love me? He was about business. He was about his business. And they said this brother had so much influence that he was more popular than, from Europe to Africa, more popular than Muhammad and Christ combined. I didn't say it. The people at that time said it. They said he was more popular and had more influence from Europe to Africa than Christ and Muhammad combined. He had to go. What about Prince? What about Prince? Died from the flu. The man was a damn vegan. You mean to tell me he ain't have enough money to cure himself of the flu? Come on now. What about Michael Jackson? Getting himself out of debt. About to get his redigital copies back from the Beatles and produce his own music, becoming black conscious. He wasn't talking about that foolishness. It don't matter if you're black or white and remember the time and all that. He said they don't care about us. And he went over to the UK and converted to Islam. You already know that's a threat. And he was going to bring that message back to here. And then they got tape of him doing a moonwalk a week or two before. And then all of a sudden he dies from an overdose from this crazy ass doctor who drugged him. And where is he at? So you see a pattern of behavior. Black conscious, freeing yourself economically, and funding black conscious movements, you end up dead. Again, Sam Cooke, the one that jumped it all off, he was friends with Minister Malcolm. Why don't they tell you that? And he was friends with Martin Luther King, and he told Minister Malcolm and Martin Luther King to their face, if you two put your beefs aside, because remember, Malcolm and Martin for a while didn't get along. He said, if you all put y'all's beefs aside, I will fund the civil rights and human rights movement. That's what he told. And from there, you start seeing them pictures of Malcolm and Martin gripping up. Well, Sam Cooke was cool with both of them, so he had to go. A long history of sexual assault, abuse, and rape of their own women, more or less black women, and now you're champions of sexual assault and abuse. It is strange how you pick and choose when you want to implement justice. Why is Ray Rice out of the NFL? His wife forgave him. His wife, the book says you don't come in between married people. Oh, I wouldn't forgive that Negro. He dragged her. Man, they're married. They married. What happened to forgiveness? What happened to forgiveness? Some of you Negroes who say you know the book. What happened to forgiveness? The cornerstone of Christianity is forgiveness. But the woman said she forgave her husband. He should be out in the NFL. Now they champions of domestic violence. Right? Champions of domestic violence. But Ben Roethlisberger been raping women all up and down the coast. He's still playing. You had one brother who ran someone over when he was drunk and killed him. He's still playing. Other players, black and white, but mostly white. Domestic violence. The one kicker for the Giants. He admitted he was beating his wife. He's still playing. Colin Kaepernick, all the man did was kneel to speak out against police brutality. Terrence Crutcher, Sandra Bland, Eric Gardner, Tamir Rice, and on and on and on. All he said is this killing needs to stop. And he took a kneel Didn't hurt anyone. Never got in trouble to our knowledge. Never hurt anyone to our knowledge. Didn't break the law to our knowledge. And we going on a damn third year that he is out of the NFL? But Ben Roethlisberger, damn raping women up and down the coast, he gets a second chance. What about that damn buffoon and clown Ray Lewis? He was involved in a murder case, but because he sold his soul and start buffooning and clowning and buck dancing and scratching where it don't itch and laughing at shit that ain't funny, he's still damn in the NFL, and he was involved in a murder case. Who did Colin Kaepernick kill? Man involved in I forgot. It was 2 other niggers that he murdered, so their lives really don't matter. And if you buck and dance and buffoon and clown and be our nigger, we'll forgive you. This is a bunch of crap. The unjustified, well, not unjustified, the hypocrisy in the arrest of Bill Cosby. Man, if you did that to them women, that's on you. All I'm saying is be equal with your implementation of justice. That's all we saying. Be equal. All those men that we talked about, they all should be in a pod together, talking about their freaky ass ways, and get some damn counseling or something, or some therapy to cure them. And they can be in there together. Be equal. Be equal. We got a bunch of freaks running around. Last point. On my talk the other night, the Virginia Department of Justice came out with a statistic saying the average pedophile rapes up to 300 victims in their lifetime. The average pedophile rapes and sexually assaults up to 300 victims in their lifetime, particularly children. We got a bunch of freaks and child killers running around. Darren Wilson is a child killer. George Zimmerman is a child killer. Yeah. This is Brother Shareef with the Hour of Power. I know it was rough, but if anyone can dispute, I'm not bragging. If anyone can dispute anything from the beginning of this podcast to the end, I don't want to hear about, man, he cursed and he seems to be, if you can dispute anything that I said, please inbox or call me. I gave you the proof. Yeah, I'm on fire, but it's under control because I'm in the streets and I'm connecting with people to bring about a change. Just ain't some damn Facebook rant. I'm on the front line with my people and I'm willing to do whatever to lift the mind, body, and soul of our people. This ain't no talk. We doing this thing with others, and it's just getting started. Where is the 6 to 10 after school program here in York? Since we want to talk about the violence that's going on here in York, where is that 6 to 10 program, sir, that you talked about? Now, if it's going on, someone correct me. It was supposed to be programs in these York City schools to help get the youth off the street from 6 to 10, and they talked about how they needed volunteers. Where is that? We need an ongoing institution in our neighborhoods to stop this violence and stop being reactionary and waiting for the next tragedy, or it's going to continue. These boys are crying out for help. They're angry. They're suffering from attachment disorder. They want their dad. They want leadership. They want someone to lead them. And we have to get out in the streets and lead them and not just have marches and go off our emotion, and then the march go away, but the violence is still there. Man, salute to Fred, salute to Brother Brant, and those putting on that program October the 6th, but we need an ongoing institution. I leave you in peace as I came. Assalamu alaikum.